Hello everyone and welcome back to Amnesia Dark Descent. From where we last left off, we had entered the cistern not long after I made it needlessly difficult, but don't worry, the water monster has not spawned yet.
You're conserving water from the spring.
Yes, it enables me to control the water in the drain sewers to some extent. Also, it can be used for all sorts of purposes.
Like for drinking.
Well, that too. But mostly to run different machines.
Ah, like water mills.
Exactly.
Very interesting. At least I don't think the water monster has spawned yet. I suppose I should test the waters. Yeah, we're alright. I always like hearing Daniel's conversations with Alexander. It always sounds a lot like a child talking to an adult. Obviously, Daniel being the child.
No, don't kill her.
Okay. I don't know why I'm getting so much of Daniel's confliction. I don't think I've ever gotten these voice lines from him before. And now I'm getting them all the time. Is it my sanity or something? But as I was saying, Daniel sounds very innocent and ignorant. That didn't jump scare me. Not that much. That was an overreaction.
7th of August, 1839. There is no denying that Alexander puts a lot of faith into what I can only describe as magic. I'm not surprised. Even while traveling across Europe, I assumed I would have to embrace the supernatural to save my mind and life. As a novice, I do everything in my power to stay focused and not dwell too much on my own doubts. Alexander woke me up early and told me it was time we got started on our work. He was obviously excited to get going, and we headed downstairs to the old dungeon, where he preferred to attempt his rituals. It turns out that Alexander is a true Renaissance man, paralleled only by Da Vinci, I'm sure. He showed me several rooms fitted for specific research, such as anatomy studies, alchemy, and botany. The crown of Brennenburg must be the inner sanctum, a most hallowed ground where we shall attempt to permanently banish the orb's shadow.
Also, if you head over to this chamber here, you can hear someone crying. However, I don't believe anyone's actually in there. I'm pretty sure that it's just Daniel's mind playing tricks on him. I'm actually quite scared to enter the water, to be honest. Seems we're okay for now, though. Ah! You know what's terrifying? That actually could have killed me. If I went through all of this only to be killed by a pipe, 100% turning that off. I don't want to be that guy, but I think I might use Molodonum. So I've used 5 laudanum total, so you guys should have 10. Meanwhile, I have my measly 5. I refuse to die. Oh wait, I'll get this first.
8th of August, 1839. I could never be certain until today that I was on the right path. Using my orb, Alexander managed to channel its power unto us. The inner sanctum flared with blue, fiery light, and I could feel the same things I felt in the dark chamber in Algeria. It was like standing in a mad whirlpool of impressions. It was terrifying. But Alexander kept calm and wielded strange tools of science in order to tame the storm. Suddenly, the blue light was stained by strains of red, and the walls burst with pulsating tissue resonating with the scene. Alexander quickly covered the orb in some cloth, and the unspeakable thing vanished. Apparently, the orb's shadow is closer than Alexander thought. He said I should prepare for a warding ritual tomorrow. I'm not sure what he expects, but I have a bad feeling about this.
Me too, buddy. Also, you'll take note of the day 8th of August. I believe this game takes place on the 19th of August or the 20th, I'm not sure. Which means I always believed that these events took place maybe a few months ago, but it all seems to take place within the span of roughly 2 weeks. Going in the water now is truly a terrifying event. Oh, don't do that to me, game. My heart's racing a bit right now after that. I think that was just... It was just a, it's just an attempt to freak you out, and it worked, unfortunately. Daniel is very conflicted specifically about this girl, which I'm interested to find out why, although I can think of a few ideas already. But he's focused specifically on her.
Ninth of August, 1839. It is still early, and Alexander is busy preparing for the ritual later today. Seeing him this worked up makes me question why. What does he stand to gain? I realize he is curious about it all, but surely there must be more. Is he so foolish he will attempt to tame the power of the orb? I must admit that yesterday, when Alexander flooded the inner sanctum with blue light, I realized we had but graced the orb's true potential. This might turn out to be more than escaping a creeping shadow. It might be the beginning of something truly extraordinary.
Things get really real now. So I'm going to very carefully make my way back. But before I do, I need to read that note again. I kind of missed it. I'm really sorry, guys. I'll be fast. Yeah. Innocent and hopeful, but the future is... I guess it's extraordinary, everything that's happened, but maybe not in the way he was expecting. Do I have any lantern oil? You can kind of say I have lantern oil. I don't have enough to warrant using it just for a little bit of comfort though. And now the Kernick has spawned, so the reason I chose to do this area last, let's say for example I chose to do that area last, I'd have to run all the way from there to there from the creature in the water. Obviously it would catch me and I would be dead by now. But thankfully I don't have to worry about it. Whoa. Oh! Okay, new problem found. The shadow is blocking the way. New plan. I jump onto red pulsating flesh spore thing, and then onto stairs, narrowly avoiding the water monster. Genius. Oh, well that's nice. I believe now we just carry on to the sewers. Yeah, we've already done the morgue. That wasn't anywhere near as bad as I was expecting it to be. That was honestly really easy. But hey, I'm not gonna complain. I presume this is the noxious fun guy that we are currently immune to thanks to Daniel's horrible injection. That's very interesting. That's a very interesting point loading screen. Henry Bedlaw, I presume that was the person Daniel was about to hit over the head with a rock, probably due to dealing with Henry's abuse for too long. Before we continue on, I will continue with a little routine check. 28 oil, 10 laudanum, 111 tinderbox, 17 notes, 17 diaries. We're getting close to the end, and it's been very fun so far, but that fun may come to a screeching halt, because we're getting into very dangerous parts of the game now. I wouldn't say death is imminent. An enemy spotted. I wouldn't say death is imminent, but it's on the horizon. It's starting to think about becoming best friends with us. And that, my friends, is a sign to come. The grunt is slowly disappearing and being replaced by the brute as the main enemy. Danger in terms of enemies has been increased, but even the areas are more difficult to maneuver now. We have to be very, very careful. I usually quite like water, but in these areas I'm not a big fan. Well, one, because it's the sewers and that's disgusting, but for another reason. The monsters can hear you, obviously, when you're kicking water everywhere. I'm not sure what this led to. I don't think we ever learn. To be honest, I'm amazed I still haven't died yet. And I'm amazed I've kept so, you know, I've done so well with the collectibles. Now for this one, it doesn't really give you much to work with. You just kind of have to guess, because it also doesn't give you the puzzle complete sound. But what you want to do, never mind, it does give you information. Okay, that's completely useless. So basically you want the noise to be as quiet as possible. And to get that effect, you go left on 1, right on 2. Oh, also, beware, for the brute is coming, and I have nothing to defend myself with here. Just places to hide. I'm not scared because, you know, there's no threat here. Just get behind the... Okay, I can't get behind it. Somewhat scared now. Okay, alright, this is a problem. Okay, don't know what to do. Panicking a bit? Alright, we go in from the other side. That was too close. So just hide behind this pipe here. And you'll break down the door, do a little survey of the area. But you'll be behind this pipe so he won't see you. That was legitimately scary. How can Daniel even check for oil all the way from over here? What? He didn't even come check on me. Well, hey, I'll take it. Also, it slowed that machine down, that's why you wanted it quieter. That over there, the controls over there control this machine here. The shadow sounds further away, and I suppose that's because we... Ew! Are those rats? Anyways, I love how it sounds like the shadow is further away. Obviously up there as we are descending further into the castle. What? I could have it must have went away when I collected that. Then why isn't the levers went away? I saw that.
What's happening? What are you doing? Let me go! Please, don't take me! Nobody ever returns!
I feel like Daniel must have been there in order for him to remember that. Wait, then back in the morgue when that guy was banging on the door begging to be let out, Daniel must have been overhearing that. You know, if this game really does just take place over the course of 2 weeks, then Daniel embraced his dark side a little bit too quickly for my comfort. Of course Daniel was there when he heard these things. How else would he know about them? He wouldn't just be mystically remembering other people's memories, would he? Unless he's connected to Alexander in some way. We could always find another way. Greetings, friend. I'm sorry I left earlier.
Daniel, turn around this instant. You are carrying the shadow with you.
I'm sorry, friend. I can't turn around directly in front of me. Would be the brute. He might not break down the door. 2 hits. It took this man 2 hits. He's ruthless. He's on a mission. Am I too close to the wrong wall? If he sees me, it's all over. Is he gone? He just... What, he came in and he left? He just came in here to check just because Alexander said to, but he had no... He couldn't be bothered. He didn't want to check. He didn't think I was in here. Probably thinks Alexander... He probably thinks Alexander's stupid for telling him to come in here. Also, behold the grunt. A dead one too. The shadow killed it. Here we can get a good look at how ravaged this thing... Whoa. Here we can get a good look at how ravaged... Okay, compose yourself. Here we can get a good look away from the slime at how ravaged its body is. So obviously, apart from the damage done to it by the shadow, we can see that the grunt's ankles were... I wish I could get closer. The grunt's ankles were non-existent. Calves too. I don't know how it could run so fast after Daniel. I mean, it was limping, but still, it could move remarkably fast, despite the fact that it has no ankles or calves. Actually, no, it has ankles, it just doesn't have calves. And it's also... I believe its body may be being held together via bandages, or it's just, you know, the bandages are a design thing. Also interesting is a lack of a lack of genitalia, and the insides don't... I'm not really sure. I haven't seen that many like anatomy studies, so I don't know if the center of the body there is accurate to a human skeleton, but it looks to be, from my low knowledge. And here we have the top of it. His jaw is a little different than ours, a little different. It appears it's been completely stretched. Would you leave me alone? Gosh. Seems its jaw has been completely stretched out, and you can't really see, but it usually does have eyes. The eyes were ripped out by the shadow. The eyes look mostly unaffected when they are inside of the skull. The head, to be honest, appears to be the most normal part of this thing, outside of the disfigurement on the front there. You know, I'm getting real sick of that. The split appears to come from the upper part of the left side of the head down to the... Am I dying? I'm actually dying. From the left side of the head to the upper jaw area. But outside of that, these things appear to be mostly human. Obviously very disfigured. Let's see if there's an arm we can grab. Yes, there is. This hand appears mostly normal. To be honest, I take it back. I think the arms are the most normal part. At least this arm is. It's very bandaged up. I'm wondering if the bandages might actually be to keep the body together. I really don't know. But as for these ones, they might be concealing heavy injuries, or just, again, simply just for an outfit. There is no strength in the... Well, there's a lot of strength in these arms, but there's no muscle in these arms. No big muscle anyways. very small, thin arms. And then you have the second arm here, which also appears to be the same. However, I had believed that the other grunt's arm was some kind of claw. So I don't know if this is just another grunt's arm or if I was wrong. I don't know why another grunt's arm would be here though. If I die to the goop, man. The lower teeth aren't exactly fully missing. I mean, they are for the most part, but there are two tooths here left over from the bottom jaw. It's safe to say these things are not eating again. However, they seem to be immune to dying via dehydration and hunger and other related things. They obviously can be killed by diseases, viruses, and blunt force. And the shadow, which I guess would fall into blunt force depending on how the shadow kills. But the reason that I'm examining this body is to show what damage the shadow has done to it, because the gatherers, I believe they are believed to be the leftover dead bodies of humans that were destroyed by the shadow and then brought back by the same power as the orb. By Alexander, I think, to work for Alexander. I don't know that for sure though, but I'm pretty sure that's what they are. The top row is the most healthy set of teeth that they have available, which is really saying something. I think I've had my fun examining these horrible bodies now, though. For Pete's sake, on a sunny day, would you... I'm tempted to use that laudanum I just got. Yeah, that's the... I guess, yeah, I guess that there, that lower body is anatomically? Anatomically? No, that's not a word, stupid. Anatomically correct. I really like this because you get to examine the model without the fear of death. It also seems to have some loose strands of hair left, but not that many. This doesn't really confirm anything other than they are originally human in origin. And also that they're grisly, gross, and horrible, but you knew that from a distance. Now take off the running shoes and start by crouching, because in the next area we'll have the brute. I don't believe the brutes have any corpses, so we won't get an in-depth look at their design, unfortunately. However, they are ugly in a similar way to the grunt, and they're green-skinned rather than the sickly pale or sickly peach that the grunts are. Leads me to believe the brutes are older corpses, maybe. Suffered decomposition longer before they were brought back. And another laudanum for me to waste pretty soon, I would imagine. Now, don't do what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm getting closer, that's stupid. You want to throw it from a large distance. Hello, what's this? Oh, it's nothing. So, stand back really, really far and throw. That'll get its attention. Now we'll start by walking at a moderate pace until we get close. Let's say round about this edge here. And as you can see, its attention was driven over to that there rock. Now you don't want to walk because it will attract. Your water footsteps will attract it. But now, heart attack commence. I feel tears coming up. The reason why Now remember, this thing takes 2 strikes to break down a door, and it's chasing after me at full force, but don't worry, there's only 2 doors. Now you climb the ladder, and you don't look back. Oh. That is a tense area. But we're home free. That light, that is a safe light. We're okay now. We're completely fine. I don't have much to say on that loading screen except that it's clear Daniel has always fought heavily about his own actions and how they've affected other people, which I would say is a good trait of his, but it could definitely be used by Alexander and corrupted. Alright, this one isn't too difficult to keep track of. 28 oil, 112 tinderbox, notes and diaries left the same, 12 laudanum. And I'm quite excited, we're in one of my favourite areas. Not only because I just love the aesthetic and vibe of the nave, but for a very special reason that you'll see quite shortly.
9th of August, 1839. I can't stop sweating and shaking. The warding ritual was not something of a sane mind. I did not even realize the dungeon was still in use. Alexander had his servants bring one of the prisoners, a murderer, he told me. Alexander made all the arrangements, but he said I had to perform the ritual in order to have the right effect. The shadow could be led astray by the blood of another. Killing the man would provide us precious time. What else could I do? Alexander said it had to be done. He is saving my life. I don't have the luxury of argument.
That's very intense. You know, looking at the notes now, have any of you guys seen that, those 2 videos? It's a common meme now, of the kid in the Superman outfit saying of how he's going to school in that outfit, and then the next day he uploads another video, saying of how terrible it was, and the thumbnail shows him excited in the one before going to school, and then miserable, broken and destroyed in the one after he went to school. This has the same vibes. Something truly extraordinary. Then right on the next note, I can't stop sweating and shaking. It's kind of humorous. On a more serious note, however, I question how much of what Alexander is saying. I question how much of it is truth. I think it's truth, or at the very least I think he thinks it's truth. And as for Daniel, I don't know. In this case, when you're talking about something as severe as taking another person's life, no matter who they are, what they've done, putting that into your own hands, oftentimes that's asking too much of you. And in a similar way as to why Batman doesn't kill people, with people like Daniel, when you do it once, you're likely to continue doing it again and again and again. Because Daniel always is he's very on the side of violence. So I don't know, I was gonna say that maybe he was just using Alexander as an excuse and he wanted to do it all along, but I don't know if he's quite that evil. I feel like maybe that's having too little faith in him, and I also have no evidence in what he was saying there to claim such a thing. Still, it's a very messed up topic, but I've come to expect that from the lore of this game. Yeesh. I wonder. I'm looking for a window maybe to see into the prison. Because I'm wondering if maybe this spiral staircase is the exact same one we saw in the prison area earlier. I don't think it is though. Oh, it's so much better with the lantern. I really do kick myself for not using the oil. I really should. This is just so much better.
Agrippa, I need you to stay awake. Can you feel the syringe?
No, I can't feel anything. Alexander,
Yes.
soon I won't even be able to move, will I?
Your life is safe.
I don't doubt that. But will it be worth living?
That's a great point from Agrippa there. I do wonder about Alexander's relationship with Agrippa and how much he potentially cares about Agrippa. He has kept him alive, and I do believe it's for selfish reasons in a way similarly to how he's committing all these heinous acts for someone he loves. And now we finally get to the thing I'm so excited for. The man, the myth, the legend.
Help me. Thank you. You have my gratitude. My name is Agrippa. Who might you be? Daniel? Like the prophet thrown into the lion's den? Tell me, are you among the lions, Daniel? You want to stop Alexander? Oh my, so Babylon shall fall, you say? You worry too much. Alexander is toothless without an arm. He has one. That's not very promising at all. The sanctum is basically impenetrable, but against my home. It could be breached by another, but Alexander broke his, my own, a long time ago. Really? Well, if you tell the truth, by all means, seek out the pieces of the broken oil and mend away. I believe he uses them for torture now. They practically leak madness, which is quite useful, I understand. There should be 6 of them. Look around the choir and the transept. You should be able to find them there.
This here is Agrippa, the only friendly face you'll see in this game, and a very welcome one at that. He speaks through this here device.
I hate to bother you further, but if you're really going after Alexander, would you consider taking me with you? I know it sounds ridiculous. I mean, look at me. But if you find anything concerning a man named Johann Weyer, would you please bring it to me? I believe he was working on a way to help me. A recipe for some sort of potion, a tonic to free me from this husk of mine.
Johann Weyer is also an important name. Now, as I was saying, he speaks through this thing here, which is why it sounds like he's talking directly into your right ear. At least it is for me.
I'm Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa. I was once quite important, you know. Baron Alexander has sustained my soul in this dead husk for years. Who knows how many? Hundreds, I presume.
So, he speaks through this thing here, and if you were to not pull the switch, you would find him dead next time you came into the nave, which...
Alexander is quite impressive in many ways, but he has grown impatient.
Which is a bummer, because I really like Agrippa, even if he does cut you off a lot. Also, if you try to get to him, those things will just stab you.
By me? I'm the next best thing. Alexander really wanted none other than Johann Weyer. You never heard of Johann Weyer? My God, boy. He's probably the greatest man in history. And you don't know him? Or is it the world who has forgotten you?
Quite frankly, I don't know him either. I've simply just heard of him. But I do know he's every bit as impressive as Agrippa claims.
Weyer was my pupil. My pupil. Yes, I do take pride in that fact. Is it so wrong?
I feel like, you know what, I'm just going to ignore the fact that he keeps cutting me off. So,
I found a Mithraeum once, one which had not been plundered. Do you know Mithraism? I suppose it doesn't matter. It is an old faith, building temples out of caverns. The dark walls being the universe, and inside are its followers. Humans watching the sky slowly turn. But the followers do have one thing to allow them a real sense of connection to creation. The orbs.
that is genuinely fascinating. Now, I've lost my train of thought, but it'll come to me.
Many orbs are left. They sometimes consume themselves, or break, when used by an uninitiated. I was lucky. The orb I found spared my life and returned to where I found it. I know because Alexander took it and brought it to Brandenburg.
That's genuinely fascinating. So that completely breaks apart my theory that
He was a brave man and dared to proceed where I did not. He unearthed a number of cavern temples and gathered a whole collection of orbs. But unlike every other finder since the fall of the Mithraean faith, he was able to unshackle the horror you and I connected with the orbs. He used them and was able to travel far and wide, beyond the world itself.
Wow, that's really quite incredible. Yeah, that completely debunks my theory.
Powerful. Not the way I hoped for. I've done all that I can to escape this prison. But now, I use all my strength merely to stay alive.
That's great to know, Agrippa. Now, each orb seems to have its own personality or something to that extent, so
Johann Weyer said he'd found a way to take me with him beyond the stars. But I was too afraid to come alone. Seriously. And now, all I can do is regret it.
that is quite understandable. As this game preys on a lot, the fear of the unknown is suffocating. So, I don't fault him for that.
Weyer would return and give me a second chance. But so does Alexander. That's why he keeps me here, as a hostage, hoping Weyer will reveal himself.
That completely debunks what I said earlier, so Alexander is not attached to Agrippa in any way, I don't think, just
Good boy, Dad. And I appreciate your company. but I believe you have more important things to take care of.
That's actually really quite wholesome. But I'm not here for you, Agrippa. I'm trying to get the last of my thoughts out. So each shadow seems to have its own each orb seems to have its own...
Hurry, Daniel. No time for sitting around.
Okay, okay. Yeesh. Yeah, each orb seems to have its own
I believe you have more important things to take care of.
Let's just get out of here. Then I'll finish my thoughts.
You should hurry, Daniel.
Yes, yes, yes. No time for sitting around. That's facts. That is actually facts. That's why I'm not sitting around. Lock him up. Yeesh, I love that guy, but he sure talks a lot. Anyways, now time to talk a lot. So the orbs seem to have their own personalities or something of that sort. So Agrippa's was actually just less aggressive, and perhaps Daniel's was less aggressive. I'm not too confident on that though. Johann Wyatt. Now this leads into something that I wanted to say a few episodes back, but I'm not really that good at articulating myself. Alexander's causing all this pain and suffering to get to the bottom of how to use orbs. But the thing is, Johann Wyatt found a way to unshackle the darkness that clings to them. And I doubt he did that using torture, pain, and suffering. I feel like the reason Alexander's been trapped for hundreds of years is because he's so stuck on this idea of extracting vitae out of living things through the use of breaking their psyche and their bodies. Johann Wyatt was nothing but a human, so surely he didn't have hundreds of years like Alexander did to crack the case of the orbs, and yet he did. And he's become something truly incredible, using hundreds of orbs presumably, traveling universes even beyond Alexander and his species comprehension. And you know, perhaps Johann Wyatt did this all alone without the use of other living things, without torturing them and sacrificing them in such horrible ways. And perhaps that is why, perhaps this way that Alexander's extracting vitae, perhaps it's the wrong way. And that's why he's not getting anywhere. Because clearly he's doing something wrong that Johann did right. And I do wonder how much Agrippa knows about all this. He knows more than he lets on. Not that he's hiding anything, you just don't get to know him long enough to learn his secrets and what he knows. But he knows more than the game shows. Also interesting little minor note, he called Daniel a good boy, and I don't know, I'm actually inclined to agree with Agrippa despite all the atrocities we've seen. Everyone has a dark side to them, and while I'm not exactly comfortable with how quickly Daniel embraced his, I don't know if I would call, at least this version of Daniel, I don't know if I would call evil. However, the game has multiple endings, and depending on what you choose...
You have gone too far. I have to stop you. I can't let you proceed any further. I'm sorry, my friend.
Depending on what you choose, I'd be inclined to say he still is, or whether or not he changed. I feel like maybe he would have been a bad fellow beforehand, but now that he's lost his memory and gone through all this, he has a second chance to embrace his dark side or his good side, his light side, so to speak. Before he embraced his dark side, but now he has every chance to embrace his light side. And I have faith he will, although that is entirely up to me, the player. But in terms of lore, in terms of the canon ending, or what I believe to be the canon ending, I think he embraces his light side. Because no matter what, this all started because he was trying to save his sister. And
There's something else. You got the doors open? Good going. I knew you could do it.
Thank you, Agrippa. We won't be going there yet, I don't think.
Was there something else? You're a good boy, Dad. And I appreciate your compliment. But I believe you.
Oh, I love those things. Oh. Note by Alexander. Alright, let's see what he has to say. Wyatt taunts me from the other side. I trusted him with my true reason for my efforts, and still he insists on me releasing Agrippa. How an enlightened man can show such a lack of compassion in a seat of power disgusts me. I can't bring myself to part from Agrippa, as he is and has been for centuries my only link to the worlds beyond. Wyatt claims he tries his best to release me from my banishment, but that he needs me to give him Agrippa first so he too can help. But if he could guarantee success, I would happily oblige. But how am I to part from him if my return might be denied? I know what they are capable of. I have seen their deception. Optimism is a most hopeless feeling, but I must retain it. I shall prepare for his release. To release Agrippa without killing him, Wyatt told me to feed him a tonic made from a paralyzer, vitae, and tempter. The poisonous fungi should work as a paralyzer. If I can find the internal gland from a large specimen, the quia seems to be a fertile grounds for this sort. I should then be able to extract its contents with the proper tools. The vitae could be extracted as usual from any agonized human victim's blood. I just need large amounts to distill it properly. Remember to collect this during the next torture session. Tempter, on the other hand, will prove more difficult. I don't think it exists in this world. Simply writing the word with these letters looks wrong. I believe it's a property of the secretion in the water-dwelling Kernick. I will have to address Wyatt with this, as he will have to supply me with a host. Also, a properly prepared well should suffice to contain it. So, he was still in contact with Wyatt, and was also considering releasing Agrippa. However, for as much as I dislike Alexander, he does have a point. To just blindly trust Wyatt to get him out. I mean, I would, considering all he's done, but again, there is no guarantee. But sometimes you do just gotta take that leap of faith. It's a difficult situation, to be sure. And I feel like I don't know, Alexander's morality and his place in good is even more hard to discern than Daniel. Daniel is more simple, while Alexander is a lot more complex. For one thing, he's not even of this world. For another thing, he's lived for a long, long time. I would still consider him evil law, but he isn't personally evil. He is professional seems like the wrong word. I guess you could say he's very clinically evil. But more importantly than that, we know how to save Agrippa now, which I will do in a heartbeat. You can, now don't worry, you can still set up to save Agrippa and still get the other two endings. So no matter what, I'd say always get the materials to save Agrippa. In court, the Order of the Black Eagles spew their politics at each other while I sit quietly in place, willfully forgotten. Once in a while, someone will notice me and lose themselves in a silent cower before regaining their senses. They'll know I am the one and same Alexander who helped their fathers and grandfathers to found this great order. I've seen them take their fathers' places, and they too will grow old and pass away, while I remain the same, aged not by time but by anguish. That's really fascinating. And it's interesting how everyone saw Alexander and knew that he still hadn't aged. They do and say nothing about it, they're scared of it, and then they seem to, well yeah, forget about it, as he states, willfully forgotten. It's really interesting how Alexander just got away with all of that. He gets away with a lot of things though. Nope, not going there. Although, maybe getting the choir out of the way first is the better option. As much as I hate to say it, I do think it is the better option. Yeah, let's just get this out of the way. It's exceptionally difficult, that's why I don't want to do it. Well, that's horrifying. Alright, now one final checkup. Up to this point, if you've been following along exactly, and I know that can be quite difficult, you should have 29 oil, 13 laudanum, 120 tinderbox, 18 notes, 18 diaries. And I think actually this will be a good place to leave off. If you're able to make it all the way to the end of the video, I thank you very much. This was an interesting video, lots of standing around and talking, although I don't mind that, they were very fun. It was great to see Agrippa, and I very much look forward to next time. Actually, as a matter of fact, we're coming up to the choir. That hanging guy just scared the daylights out of me, I didn't see him there the entire time. Anyways, I'm gonna go relax. That was kind of scary. The whole session was. Thank you so much again. See you next time.